And what the hell is that smell?
In Superbad, Jonah Hill and Michael Cera were given the freedom to improvise many of their lines, and one of the most memorable came during the fake ID scene. When they find out Fogel chose the single name McLovin, Cera launched into a hilarious rant, completely off the cuff.
McLovin? What name? Who are you, Seal?
Director Greg Mottola loved it so much he kept the whole thing in, and incredibly, the whole scene was done in one take.
And you landed on McLovin.
Yeah, it was between that and Muhammad.
Why the f would it be between that and Muhammad?
Scarface is packed with unforgettable lines, but none more iconic than Tony Montana's last stand. Surrounded and outnumbered, Al Pacino grabs his grenade launcher and shouts the now legendary line, which was completely improvised.
Say hello to my little friend!
In Knocked Up, the scene where Seth Rogen and his friends talk about Munich is completely improvised. Director Judd Apatow wanted the bar conversation to feel real, so Rogen started joking about Eric Bana in Munich, which was completely unscripted.
Any of us get late tonight, it's because of Eric Bana.
I agree with that. I agree.
In Terminator 2: Judgment Day, the vacation line was ad-libbed by Arnold Schwarzenegger. It also made sense in the story, as the Terminator was slowly adapting to human speech and behavior.
I need a vacation.
In Wonder Woman, when Diana sees Steve Trevor naked and asks if he's a typical man, Chris Pine improvised the now iconic line, adding just the right touch of awkward charm.
You know, where I come from, I'm not considered average.
In Ocean's 11, after George Clooney gives an overly polished speech about taking the house, Brad Pitt felt it sounded too rehearsed, so he improvised the perfect jab.
I've been practicing this speech a little bit. Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed it. No, it was good. I liked it.
Of all the hilarious banter in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, the "You Know How I Know You're Gay" exchange between David and Cal might be the most unforgettable. Amazingly, Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen improvised the entire bit on the spot during filming.
You know I know you're gay?
How?
You just told me you're not sleeping with women anymore.
Their chemistry and quick wit made the scene an instant classic. They even tried a similar gag again in Knocked Up, but that one didn't make the final cut.
You know how I know that you're gay?
How?
You like the movie Made in Manhattan?
Bill Murray improvised most of Peter Venkman's lines in Ghostbusters, including his iconic response to getting slimed.
I feel so funky.
In Deadpool and Wolverine, one of the film's funniest jabs came straight from Ryan Reynolds.
Welcome to the MCU, by the way. You're joining at a bit of a low point.
It was a clever nod to the recent real-life struggles of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and classic Deadpool meta-humor at its finest. In Ghostbusters, Rick Moranis improvised nearly all of his lines as Louis Tully, especially during the party scene. The whole bit where he introduces guests by explaining their jobs, tax brackets, and mortgage rates was made up on the spot.
Ted has a small carpet cleaning business in receivership. They got $15,000 left on the house at 8%.
Originally, the role was meant for John Candy, but Moranis took it in a completely different and hilariously nerdy direction that became iconic.
Okay, who brought the dog?
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
This entire scene was apparently made up as they went along. In truth, Mike Starr, the actor getting his ears screamed into, can't tolerate loud noises in real life. So, not only were Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels' lines and obnoxious behavior completely improvised, but Mike Starr's reactions were also totally genuine. Guys! In Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men's Chest, the little song "I've Got a Jar of Dirt" sung by Captain Jack Sparrow was completely improvised by Johnny Depp. That's why the surprised reactions from the other actors are completely real.
I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. And guess what's inside it? Enough.
In Fight Club, when the narrator threatens the cops with a lead salad while leaving the police station, the line was completely improvised by Edward Norton. And the confused looks from the officers were totally genuine.
First person comes out this door gets a lead salad, you understand?
It's not a line, but one of the coolest improvised moments in Thunderball happens when Bond finds Fiona Volpe in the tub. She asks for a robe, but instead of handing it to her as the script instructed, Sean Connery gave her a pair of shoes and sat on the robe. He made it up on the spot because it felt more like something Bond would actually do, and it worked perfectly. In Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin improvised the now hilarious line during the scene where Kevin taunts the burglars. It wasn't in the script, but it ended up becoming one of the film's most famous quotes.
You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
In A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Robert Englund improvised Freddy Krueger's iconic line during the scene where Freddy smashes a girl's head into a TV.
Welcome to prime time!
The original script had the line, "You're on TV now, girl," and the first take used, "This is it, your big break in TV." But on a second take with a different camera angle, Englund changed it up, and the unscripted line became one of Freddie's most famous. In Wedding Crashers, the scene where John shares a quiet, emotional thought about the heart wasn't in the script. Owen Wilson came up with the line during filming, catching even the director by surprise.
You know how they say we only use 10% of our brains? I think we only use 10% of our hearts.
In This Is Spinal Tap, the cast made up most of their lines on the spot, including one now famous quote about the line between clever and stupid.
Such a fine line between stupid and clever.
That unscripted moment became one of the film's most quoted, and it's a big reason why the cast received writing credit. In Midnight Cowboy, a real New York taxi ignored road closures and nearly hit Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight during a scene. Hoffman staying fully in character as he slammed the hood and shouted the now iconic line,
I'm walking here! I'm walking here!
In Independence Day, Will Smith's outburst while dragging the alien through the desert wasn't scripted. He genuinely reacted to the awful stench of decaying brine shrimp from Utah's Great Salt Lake, where the scene was filmed.
And what the hell is that smell? I could have been at a barbecue!
In Saving Private Ryan, Matt Damon ad-libbed Ryan's entire monologue about watching his brother with an ugly girl in the farmhouse. Tom Hanks even glances to the side in surprise, reacting genuinely. The scene wasn't especially funny or dramatic, but that's exactly why the filmmakers kept it. It felt real.
Picture a girl who just took a nosedive from the ugly tree and hit every branch coming down.
In Bridesmaids, Melissa McCarthy improvised the unforgettable line about hiding an iPod Nano. Her delivery was so unexpected that it caught even her real-life husband and co-star Ben Falcone completely off guard.
You don't between the cheeks, do you?
While filming The Fellowship of the Ring, there's a tense scene where Gandalf sees a flock of crows and warns the group by shouting,
"What is that?" "Spies of Solomon."
But during one take, Ian McKellen decided to have some fun and yelled, "Spies of Star Wars" instead. Of course, that take didn't make it into the final cut, but it gave everyone on set a good laugh.
"Spies of Solomon."
In Star Wars: A New Hope, the scene where Han tries to bluff his way through a comlink call was largely improvised by Harrison Ford.
No, we're fine. We're all fine here. No, thank you. How are you?
We're sending a squad up.
Whether he forgot the lines or never read them to begin with, Ford's awkward delivery and cringe were so in character that George Lucas decided to keep it in.
Boring conversation anyway.
Also, Luke's line about the helmet wasn't scripted. Mark Hamill didn't even deliver it in character. He thought the cameras had stopped rolling.
I can't see a thing in this helmet.
In Good Will Hunting, the scene where Robin Williams talks about his late wife farting in her sleep had both him and Matt Damon laughing uncontrollably, and none of it was scripted. Williams improvised the story, catching Damon completely off guard.
My wife used to fart when she was nervous.
You know, she used to fart in her sleep.
If you watch closely, the camera starts to shake slightly. Not for effect, but because the cameraman was laughing so hard he couldn't keep it steady.
One night it was so loud it woke the dog up.
Savvy.
In The Curse of the Black Pearl, Johnny Depp improvised many of Jack Sparrow's quirks, including the repeated use of savvy. He also ad-libbed the final line of the film.
Bring me that horizon.
In Iron Man, when Robert Downey Jr. reveals his secret identity wasn't in the script, but director Jon Favreau loved it so much, they kept it.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.